Stand in the center of a commercial construction site in Colombo, and you are surrounded by high-stakes variables. Cranes move overhead, material supply chains fluctuate by the hour, and hundreds of specialized contractors operate on strict, overlapping deadlines. In this environment, the quantity surveyor must maintain absolute control over the project's financial pulse. To maintain that control, organizations rely on the POLC framework: planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. These four pillars form the bedrock of management theory. Traditional quantity surveying training heavily prioritizes the first and the last pillars: planning and controlling. First-year undergraduates spend hundreds of hours mastering the taking off of quantities, structuring budgets, and executing precise technical measurements. But technical measurement is only the baseline. Advancing in the profession requires mastering the third pillar: leading. This is the critical human element of the framework. To understand why, we have to separate management from leadership. According to organizational researchers like Abraham Zalesnik and John Cotter, management is the process of coping with complexity. It seeks order, emphasizes process, and determines how work will get accomplished to maintain the status quo. Leadership, on the other hand, is a distinct complementary system. It is the interpersonal process of coping with change. It requires aligning people, advocating for new approaches, and driving innovation when the status quo fails. A quantity surveyor who relies entirely on management tools like spreadsheets, cost plans, and schedules, while ignoring the interpersonal dynamics of their project team, is a liability. Spreadsheets do not pour concrete. Managing numbers without leading the people responsible for executing those numbers is why technically flawless project plans routinely fail in real-world execution. Effective leadership is not a fixed personality trait. As psychologist Kurt Lewin demonstrated, it is a dynamic toolkit that requires continuous calibration based on the immediate constraints of the team and the environment. Lewin's leadership style triangle models 3 styles of authority and freedom. Top left is the autocratic style, relying on strict top-down control. At the bottom is laissez-faire, stepping out of decision-making entirely. Top right is democratic, balancing structure and freedom to promote shared decision-making. A successful quantity surveyor does not simply pick one of these styles and stick with it. They must dynamically slide between these 3 nodes depending on the immediate environmental pressures and the experience level of the people they are directing. Consider a sudden, severe safety crisis on a site, a structural failure or fire. This is the specific use case for the autocratic style. Immediate, decisive action is necessary to prevent injury. There is 0 time for consensus or debate. The leader issues direct commands, and the team executes them immediately. Now, imagine leading a value engineering workshop. Value engineering is a systematic method to optimize a project's cost without sacrificing its functional requirements. This is the precise environment for the democratic style. Optimizing complex project costs requires diverse expertise. The QS needs collaborative input from architects, structural engineers, and clients to find solutions that work for everyone. Finally, consider managing a team of highly experienced senior MEP estimators. MEP stands for Mechanical, Electrical, and Plumbing Engineering. Here, the laissez-faire style is often the most effective choice. These are senior experts. They require the correct software, accurate initial data, and freedom to execute specialized tasks. They will actively resist strict micromanagement. Misapplying a style guarantees disaster. Attempting a laissez-faire approach during a safety evacuation or an autocratic approach during a collaborative design workshop will fracture the team. Leadership requires constant, active situational awareness. Understanding how a leader should act is only half the equation. To drive a project forward, a quantity surveyor must understand the internal psychological drivers that cause a follower to actually follow. This chart shows Maslow's hierarchy of needs, modeling human motivation. It suggests individuals must satisfy basic, lower-level needs before addressing higher-level aspirations. The baseline requirements are physiological survival and security. Humans are wired to secure these before dedicating energy to anything else. On a construction site, These baseline needs translate to physical safety, the promise of stable employment, and receiving reliable, fair wages to feed a family. Only after that baseline is secured do the higher-order psychological needs emerge: social belonging, ego and esteem, and ultimately self-actualization. For a QS team, these upper tiers map to professional development. It is the need for inclusion in the project strategy, receiving recognition for an exceptionally accurate cost plan, and being granted the autonomy to mask complex tasks. The mechanical rule here is absolute. A project leader can never extract top-tier, innovative performance from a team whose bottom-tier needs are currently threatened or unmet. But even if you secure the baseline, financial compensation alone fails to maximize site productivity. To understand why, we look to Frederick Hertzberg's two-factor theory. Hertzberg divided workplace conditions into two categories. The first are hygiene factors. These encompass the basic environmental and extrinsic conditions of the job. For a QS, hygiene factors include ensuring fair pay, enforcing policies, or simply maintaining a functional air conditioning unit inside a sweltering site office. Hertzberg's core insight is counterintuitive. Hygiene factors strictly prevent dissatisfaction. They stabilize the workforce, bringing a worker's attitude to neutral, but do not generate internal drive. To move past neutral, a leader must activate motivators, the intrinsic psychological drivers rooted in personal growth, interest, and achievement. You create a motivator by giving an ambitious junior surveyor complete autonomy and responsibility over managing the budget for a major concrete pour, allowing them to own the outcome. Securing hygiene factors is mandatory to keep your people from quitting, but leaders must actively engineer motivators if they want to drive peak performance. The architecture of leadership brings these distinct models into a single mandate. A true QS leader diagnoses the immediate situation, selects the correct Lewin style, secures Hertzberg's hygiene factors, and triggers higher-order Maslow motivators. This theoretical framework is tested most severely when you strip away the easiest management tool: money. How do you lead a team when you have absolutely no financial leverage? Imagine you are tasked with leading a voluntary committee of alumni and students to organize the University of Moratora Quantity Surveying 40-year Legacy Celebration. Because this is entirely volunteer work, there are no wages or bonuses to distribute. You are completely stripped of your primary financial hygiene factor. You cannot buy compliance. The only viable solution in this scenario is transformational leadership. This is a leadership style where the leader inspires and empowers followers to achieve a vision, rather than relying on a simple exchange of labor for reward. To execute this, you must bypass the baseline physiological needs entirely. You appeal directly to the upper tiers of the pyramid: the human desire for self-determination, the drive to demonstrate competence, and the need to build a shared sense of community. By focusing on intrinsic motivators, you align people behind an inspiring shared vision. They work late, solve logistical problems, and coordinate complex schedules, not because of a transactional compliance, but because they are personally invested in the outcome. For the first-year undergraduates entering this field, the challenge is to look beyond the spreadsheets, the blueprints, and the cost estimations. Mastering cost control and technical measurement is the baseline expectation of the profession, but mastering human motivation, adapting your style to the moment, and aligning a team toward a shared goal, that is what builds a lasting legacy.